2020 is over, and through all the ups and downs, the gaming industry brought us several titles to pass the time with. Here are my top 10 games of 2020. This entry into the classic Doom series follows the story of the 2016 reboot of Doom and has players defending Earth from an invasion of demons from literal hell. As the story progresses, the curtain is pulled back, revealing more about the conflict between the demons and other forces previously unknown in the franchise. The shooter gameplay is some of the best I've played, being very action-oriented and fast-paced. Despite having a wide variety of demons to fight and tons of secrets to uncover, however, Doom Eternal is not higher on my list because it is rather difficult to complete and the multiplayer is rather generic. The Resident Evil series has seen somewhat of a renaissance in recent years. This remake of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis puts players back in Raccoon City during the middle of a viral zombie outbreak. In addition to zombies, zombie dogs, and other monsters, you are being hunted by the titular Nemesis, an unrelenting predator armed to the teeth with its eyes on you. While scary, the game leans more towards the action side of later entries with a dedicated dodge mechanic. Those looking for more of a scare would probably prefer the previous remake, Resident Evil 2. This adaptation of one of the world's biggest superhero teams puts players through various online and offline missions as some of your favorite Marvel heroes, such as Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Hulk. The story campaign is the main draw to the game, with a well-crafted narrative surrounding Marvel's Kamala Khan. Where the game tends to suffer is the repetitive online mission structure, where players are either defending a position, raiding shield vaults, and freeing prisoners. Still, the game is being updated, adding new heroes to play, and more story content slated for later this year. Ever wanted to fly through space in an X-Wing or a TIE fighter? This game is for you! This spacefaring entry into the Star Wars franchise has you playing as both the Empire and the Rebellion in a split storyline set during the events of Return of the Jedi. The gameplay has players dogfighting not only through single-player missions, but also through multiplayer 6v6 battles. This dark RPG was set to be the game of 2020. Unfortunately, console players found a nearly unplayable game. However, after significant patches and updates, the game is much more accessible now. But even with the bugs and glitches, the game's story is top-notch, with realistically written and relatable characters and engaging missions. Sadly, the state which this game launched in on consoles, which led me to stop playing the game for about a week, puts Cyberpunk out of the top 5. Animal Crossing came out in a pivotal moment in 2020, when most people were staying indoors under lockdown. Players were looking for a way to de-stress during the pandemic, with such activities as fishing, crafting, and hanging out with your animal neighbors. This game provides a rather non-violent and relaxing alternative to most games on this list, and was a bright spot in the year 2020. This web-slinging adventure launched the PlayStation 5 to major success. This version has Peter Parker going on vacation and leaving another Spider-Man in charge of protecting New York. This game truly shows off the power of the PlayStation 5, with ray tracing at 4K and 60 frames per second. But this game also has a fantastic story, centering on Miles coming into his own, not being the Spider-Man everyone is used to, but as his own hero. That combination, along with the smooth and fluid web-slinging and combat, makes this a fantastic game as well as a must-have. Last of Us Part 2 had a lot to live up to. With how critically acclaimed the original game was in terms of its story, Last of Us Part 2 mostly exceeds expectations with its revamped gameplay. Its story, while well written, did suffer from its execution. It is a bit long for what it is trying to convey and is split very disjointedly between two protagonists. Still, this game was a rather good entry for 2020. When this game was released, fan anticipation was at an all-time high. The 1997 classic was a turning point for the RPG genre, and with this remake, expectations were blown out of the water. With an expanded story up to the party's escape from Midgar, strategic yet action-packed combat, and memorable characters such as Tifa, Barrett, and Sephiroth, this title serves as a love letter to fans of the original. This PS4 exclusive is a masterpiece. One of the last exclusives for the 8th generation of consoles, Jin Sakai is a samurai out for revenge. In this story, he has to cope with following the path of honor that he is familiar with all his life, or going down a path of dishonor that will help him get the job done. With precision combat, stunning environments, and a compelling, heart-wrenching narrative all rolled into one, this game takes an excellent spot as my top game of 2020. For this special edition of the Gamers Corner, I'm Colby Kirk.